Is John Cage's composition 4 minutes and 33 seconds actually music? Well, my name's Greg Harradine, I'm a composer, and on this episode of Good Art, Bad Art, I'll attempt to find out, or at least have the discussion with you. Yes, I'll share my thoughts on 4 minutes 33 seconds, and I thought what would be fun is if, after a few minutes, we actually listen to the piece together. Yes? A bit about the piece first. If you're watching this video, you probably are aware of it. You probably know what it is. But just in case you're new to it, this composition 433, it's essentially silence. Although, is it? You know, in this piece, it can be performed by any number of musicians, a solo musician or a whole orchestra. You know, people sit down, walk onto the stage, sit down, prepare to play, and they do nothing for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. The point being that we're meant to then listen to the room, right? A room, a concert hall, or a room of any kind is never truly silent, is it? Different sounds will occur. You might hear your fellow audience members shuffling in their seats. You might hear the hum of traffic outside, your own breathing. Who knows what you might hear? And this is John Cage's point. Now, some people say, well, this isn't music, while others say, oh, it is, it's absolutely, this is art, You could call it noise art, or is it even performance art of some kind? Some people say it's almost like kind of Dada inspired. But the point is it makes you concentrate and just sit and listen for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. I think the length is very important. I think we can all cope with this. We can cope with sitting for 4 minutes and 33 seconds and just listening. If this piece had been an hour long, I think fewer people could put up with it, frankly. So I think it's a good length. John Cage, he started having ideas about a silent piece in something like 1947, 1948. In 1951, he visited an anechoic chamber, which is a chamber where it's meant to be as quiet a room as possible, where you can study sound waves in a very pristine environment. So he went into this very, very quiet room. And apparently he could hear two sounds. He could hear a high sound and a low sound. And he was informed by the sound engineer that the high sound was apparently his nervous system operating, if you can believe that, and the low sound was his blood in circulation. Now, I don't know if this is really true. Can we really hear our nervous system and our blood circulating? I've never heard these things, but then again, I've never been in an anechoic chamber. So maybe if anyone has any information, let me know. So he did that in 1951, and then 1952 was when this composition was released to the world, 433. He was also inspired by the artist Robert Rauschenberg, who made this series of white paintings where, it is what it sounds like. Just the paintings are entirely white, but the point is that the light changes on the paintings, depending on the time of day in the room, right? Or whether you switch the electric lights on or off, and the shadows of the gallery goers the shadows will fall onto the white paintings and create an interplay of light and shadow. And John Cage openly admits, he says, look, the white paintings came first, my silent piece came later. So he was inspired by Robert Rauschenberg as well. Soon we'll have a listen. And what I'd like you to do is I will leave my mic on. Yeah, so it may sound like almost silence, but you might pick up possibly a few sounds from my room here. But listen at home to whatever is in your room where you're listening. Please enter this in good faith. Yeah? It's almost like a meditative experience. When do we get to sit and just concentrate and listen for 4.5 minutes or so? Yeah, in this crazy world we live in now, we don't. Put your phone down, yeah? Unless you're watching this on your phone. But here we go. I'm going to put a timer on the screen so you know how long we've got. Okay, and at the end, you try to keep a mental note, of what you're hearing. You can tell me in the comments what you've heard. Yeah, and then after we've had this 433, I'll tell you what I heard as well. Ready? Okay, here we go. There we have it. We listened to 433 together. What did you think? What did you hear? Was it music, indeed? Oh, I tell you, when you really just sit, it lasts quite a long time, doesn't it? 4.5 minutes. Here's what I heard. Main thing was I could hear my computer over there just humming quietly. That was like the constant low bed of sound underneath everything else. The computer humming. I could hear myself breathing. I'm not sure if I could hear my heartbeat, but I could feel it. And that gave me a sense of a consistent rhythm, more or less. Then I heard occasional sounds like at one point, either a very small bird or a very large insect of some kind flew into my window. So I heard that. And also a little percussive sound came from my piano, which I don't know if I should be worried about that or not. But yeah, so a few consistent sounds and then a few momentary sounds. What did you hear? Let me know in the comments. I think this is a totally valid experiment in composition, and I think it could be described as music, sound art. It's just a question of terminology, isn't it? One person might say it's music, one might say it's sound art. But I think it's a fascinating experiment that John Cage devised here. And I think we should all do this. Once a year, we should sit down, listen to 433, consider what are we listening to. And I could hear birds tweeting quite often, which was lovely, which really was quite musical. It's just a good listening exercise more than anything else. Now, he wasn't the first. You may not know, he wasn't the first to come up with an idea like this. Other people had thought of similar things, including the French composer Alphonse Allais, who wrote a piece called Funeral March for the Obsequies of a Deaf Man. And he wrote this piece in 1897, and it consisted of 24 empty bars. So it wasn't totally original in John Cage, but he certainly popularized this idea. And maybe people hate it, people love it. You tend to fall on one side of the fence with this. So let me know where you stand. Also, let me know what I should cover in some of my future good art, bad art videos. These are usually 8 minutes long, filmed in one take, as you can see. But today I've done 8 minutes plus 433. So I'm hoping if I time it well, it will be about 12:33 today. I give everything a score out of 100. And for this piece, John Cage 433, I give it a score of 80 out of 100. Totally worthy experiment in art. I've been Greg Harradine. Goodbye.